My name is Valerie Zambrana. I'm 29 years old and I stay home right now with the kids. When I first was born, I was put in a foster care system, but somehow my birth mom got me back for 2 years. She got me back again when I was 7 years old till almost my 9th birthday. The school made a report on my biological mother for abuse, and then that's when they took me and put me back in foster care. It was where she would lock me in my room and wouldn't feed me and wouldn't let me go to school, and she would make my older sister, which is my biological sister, come in the room and hit me. I had a lot of anger towards my biological mother. I still do to this day. I still cannot face her. I don't have any contact with my biological mother. The only person in my biological family I have contact with is my little brother. And if I go see him, he still lives with her. And so I have to go meet him outside the gates. I was very glad I was moved from the home. I was in a group home called Boys Town of Central Florida. And then after that, they call them family teachers. Was working there, and then after they quit, they requested me, and they took custody of me, and then they adopted me. I believe that the paperwork became official when I was 14. When I was growing up, I had a hard time allowing love to enter. I don't know, it's just I didn't know how to receive it because I never received it as a child. And it took until I was about 18 before I allowed my mom inside to love her like that. It took a long time. Even though I knew my birth mom, I never had a connection with her. Once I met my adopted mom and once I let her in, the connection that we have now is unbreakable. I felt like that my life was more complete. It was like, I guess you call it an angel that came to save me. And because I was all over the place because I was in foster care and I didn't know where I belonged. Because you go from home to home and you feel like that you always do something wrong. And so then when she adopted me, I felt more complete. Like I felt like I always belonged there. She always tiptoed around me for a while until she got my trust and my comfort. And then after that, it was all bets were off, I guess. Then she became a mom. My life with them was really good. They stayed on top of me for school. I got a job when I was 16, but I didn't have to. They let me. They taught me responsibility. I don't think that I would have the life I have now if it weren't for them. I started dating this guy, and we were friends for a while until May of my senior year. And then that's when we started dating. And then we dated for about 7 months before I got pregnant. When I found out I was pregnant, I was really, really, really scared. I was scared to tell my mom. His mom told my mom. So then I got a call from my mom that said I had to go to the house because she had to talk to me. And I was like, my stomach was turning the whole way home. And it was a long 15 minutes. When I finally got there, she was really mad at me. My mom said, you're gonna turn out like your birth family, you're gonna have kids young, you're never gonna have a career, you just graduated high school. She made me feel bad, and she told me that if I didn't do the adoption, that she wouldn't support me. I couldn't live there. She wouldn't financially support me because I was in college. She wouldn't help me with school or anything. And his family were the same way as my mom because we both just graduated high school and we weren't ready. So then I made the decision to give her up for adoption. I guess when my mom told me she wasn't gonna help me, it made me feel like she was betraying me. That she was supposed to be there to support me no matter what, and then I felt like she was taking their side. So that was very, very, very hard because I felt like I went through the whole pregnancy alone. by myself. I mean, his mom and dad were there when the baby was born, but it wasn't the same, and my mom never came. It really hurt when my mom wouldn't come to the birth to help me, to support me. I actually didn't go back to live with my mom after the baby was born. I lived with his parents for a little bit, and then after I couldn't deal with living there anymore, then that's when my mom let me come back. After she knew for sure that I couldn't change my mind or anything. She's never, ever, ever talked about it, ever. I met the adoptive parents while I was pregnant through the agency, and we exchanged phone numbers, and then we would meet up every month or so for lunch or whatever, and we would talk about the plan and how the adoption would work, and that's when I told them that the only way I'll do it is if there's an open adoption. And that was their plan anyways, because they don't want to keep the child from knowing that they're adopted or anything, so that's how. And when I had the baby, they were there at the hospital waiting. When the baby was born, I got to hold her first. It was a whole bunch of emotions rolling around. I didn't want to hold her too much because I didn't want to bond with her, and then it would be 10 times as hard to sign the papers later. The baby stayed in the hospital with me for 3 days because that's the mandatory for the hospital, 48 hours to 72 hours. And then on the 3rd day before I was about to be released is when the lawyers came in with all the paperwork for us to fill out and sign and all that stuff. It took me a long time to sign the papers. When I had to sign over the baby, I felt very angry towards everybody around me. Everybody that supported it. Anybody that didn't support it, I was okay with. But anybody that supported it, I was very angry with them because I felt like I could have done it. It would have been hard, but I could have done it. When we did the adoption agreement, in the first year, it was every month. And then from 2 to 3 years old, it was every 4 months or 5 months. And then once she turned 3 years old to 18, it's every year. But now that I've started a family of my own and I'm married now, we've done it every 2 years because she's still so young to understand what adoption actually means. She knows she's adopted, but she doesn't understand exactly what it means exactly. Me and her adopted parents figured together that every 2 years will be suitable timing to do the visits. Every time I go do a visit, it feels like meeting her for the first time, and she's meeting me for the first time. It's because the distance between the visits are so far that you tend to forget when you're a child. Oh, when I see her, I feel very, very, very excited because I get to watch her change, and I play with her, I swing with her. And actually the last visit we had with her, I had my older son, which is 4 now, and at that time he was 1.5. So they actually played together, and it was really amazing to watch. Sometimes I feel guilt for starting another family and doing the adoption just with her. But then sometimes I'm like, I can't always punish myself for what I did at 19 years old. That now that I'm 29 years old, I waited until I was way older. I mean, if I had any advice, if someone is trying to adopt you, just accept the love and the help, and don't, because a lot of people they don't accept it, and then the adoption never goes through. So if you are being adopted, you have a chance to have that family that you've always wanted while you're sitting in foster care. My biggest advice I will give anybody is make sure that you make your own decision. Don't let anyone make your decision for you. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that has to deal with the situation emotionally and mentally. They're not the ones that has to deal with it. Because it took me 6 years to get through making the decision, because I felt like I didn't. If I would have made it on my own, it would have been different, the way I felt about everything. But because everyone made the decision for me, like I didn't know how, I didn't understand, that's why I guess I felt the way I did. So you have to make your own decision. You have to lead yourself in the right path for yourself, not for other people. Adoption, what does it mean to me? It means a second chance at life. Whether you are in foster care and in a bad environment, being adopted from foster care is a very good thing, because then you have that stability that you've been wanting. But reward for giving up your child, a lot of people do it for selfish reasons. I did it for her stability, because I wasn't where I should have been when I had her. Yeah, I definitely feel different now placing her than I did 8 years ago. Because I've had time to think, I've had time to work through it, and I've had time to watch her grow and know that she's safe and happy.